Hey, so Ken Welch has been an absolute disaster as a mayor for the city of St. Petersburg. And as usual, I'm going to come with receipts to explain to you one other example of why he's been an absolute disaster for the city of St. Petersburg. And why am I doing this? Well, because like you, I drive around the city and I see our city in a much different state than we were just a few years ago. I mean, I can remember driving around a city and seeing people from all around the world come here, and you could see they were tourists because they had that map and they were walking around with kind of glitter in their eyes and things looked wonderful. Streets were clean. I've got anecdote after anecdote about city workers just doing amazing stuff. City workers from every level, from maintenance to garbage and refuse, all the way up to the very top. But that's not where we are in 2026. And as usual, I'm going to come with examples of something that really demands our attention, but we got to go backwards. I mean, one of the problems with the world we live in today is there's just one problem after the other. They all start piling up, stuff gets put into the background, and we forget the things that are hurting us most and the things that are crushing our pocketbook. There's something that's crushing our pocketbook here in the city. It's been going on for decades, and it's been shoved into the background. And I'll talk about how far in the background it is, but here's the deal. The municipal services building is the backbone of our city. It's where you go forget those building permits after the hurricane when they wouldn't work with you and there were lines out the door because the antiquated computer systems. It's where you go for parking tickets. It's where you go for any service you might hope to get out of the city. But one of the problems in this building is it's 100 years old, and I'll show some examples of how bad it was years ago. But here's the building right here. It's a 100-year-old building, and the problem is that the city has recognized that we've got massive amounts of maintenance that's required on here. I'm going to show in a second this study that details all those problems. And under Kreisman, it's been 6 years ago now. Hell, it's been 10 years ago, I guess, when it first started. But Kreisman identified the administration. Hey, we got a real problem here. The building is literally falling apart. The windows are leaking. The roofs are leaking. There are massive air conditioner units that have to be replaced. Altogether, it's tens of millions of dollars. So what comes in around 2020, 2021 is developers came in town and they said, hey, we want to work with the city and we want to try and develop something in a partnership to fulfill city needs and let us make a dollar on the thing. Really creative proposals. One came in that was unsolicited, and as you should do when something comes in unsolicited, but they're not doing with the stadium deal now. Once somebody comes in with a great idea, you put it out to bid and have other competitors come in and bid. And that's exactly what happened here. So someone came in, made an unsolicited offer to build a new municipal services building for the city. Others came in and they made it even better. Just as an example of kind of what things look like, this conceptual drawing. Wouldn't you love to have this building in downtown? And I know without the people whining about it's a big building. This is a municipal services building that would also allow the city to rent out space and capture back some of the revenue. But that was one of the proposals there. Here's another one there. Again, a more modern looking one. I don't care about the design, and neither should you. It's what does the city need? What would make it better? And the bottom line is this. Kreisman, looking at all the deals, didn't go with the big, crazy looking, beautiful thing. Where's that one? Probably the numbers didn't work, right? And yeah, that probably is out big and out of scale. Instead, he says, hey, I've run the numbers and this is the one that looks good to me, and presents it to the city. And the problem is it got rejected, right? So a deal is being cooked while Kreisman is in there and city council is running over the numbers, and it's cooking along. It doesn't mean that this is the final deal. It means that you got people that are sitting there in good faith, and if the city were being smart, they would have taken one of these proposals, and instead of the junk that we have now that I'll show you in just a minute, we would have some beautiful new building that would support our city, and the taxes would be reduced as a result of that. Let's get into what the real problem is. And this comes from the city's report. Here's a critical thing. So as I started looking back on all the disasters that Welch have brought to us, I wanted to find out when is the last time the city talked about the municipal services building and the problems that we have. Because anybody that knows that we've got real problems here in the city. and with the municipal services building in particular. And here it is right here, current activities. They estimate between 25 and 2029, $13 million was going to have to be spent to keep this thing functioning, leaving a shortfall of $7 million through 2029. And as council likes to do, they have a couple meetings, they talk about it, and the thing just gets shelved. It identifies that, yeah, in 2020, this project would have been far along. We would have selected somebody would have built it. And just so we're clear about what the deal was, city was going to turn over some land in exchange for construction bonds, in exchange for a deal for the developer to build and develop this project. But essentially, the city gives the land, we get a building for free. They had a timeline here about where we would, conceptual planning and programming, and then building and design within 2030. Folks, that ain't happening now. Instead, we got this junky building. We've got a horrendous real estate environment, and it's going to end up costing us all tens of millions of dollars. Yet another failure on the part of Welch that if it doesn't bankrupt the city, it could bankrupt all of us because of what it's going to cost. So what's important to know, and I'm scrolling through here, I'm probably making you dizzy, but this thing's 472 pages long, and it just goes on and on, chapter and verse, about exposed steel, water intrusion, concrete cracks. They've got these cracking perimeter things. They've got water problems everywhere. They've got window problems in they call it the main tower. The glazing assembly's bad. Somewhere in here is the roofing problems that they have. Apparently when it rains, it just goes straight down in. Rusting everywhere. There's some AC stuff, sealant that's bad. The entire outside of the building has exposed sealant problems. I mean, it just literally should make you sick to look at this, because this is your municipal building. And rather than having a building that is fixed, rather than having something that isn't going to be a drag on taxpayers for as long as our kids are alive, we got this junky building that's going to cost us tens of millions of dollars to stay in. Why is this another disaster and failure on the part of Welch? Well, because under Kreisman and Baker before that, and Bill Foster before that, we had this city where business people wanted to be here. Builders, developers knew they could trust the leadership team. Again, we're not even Republican Democrat. It's just you had responsible people in the mayor's office and city council that looked at proposals and did what was in the best interest of the city. They were competent. And rather than having competence, and rather than having someone that could address long-term, medium-term problems, we got somebody now that can't even deal with the hurricane coming. That's a short-term problem. And so the reason why this issue is so important is that here we are in 2026, 6 years after this massive problem was developed and talked about. 2026, and we are nowhere near even having a problem. What's interesting about me looking at this council agenda item was that 2024 was the last time I could see any record of it being discussed at council. So folks, here we are again. We have a massive problem in this city, and we've got a mayor, that guy back there, that ain't doing anything to help solve the real problems. I'm doing this because I want citizens to be aware of this stuff. Because even though we're focusing on the one tragedy, one problem after the other, we got to go back retrospectively and see all this other stuff that's been stacked up and has been forgotten about. That's the purpose of these kind of local discussion groups, and I hope this thing will be shared about. And I encourage each one of you to leave comments in here about what you think are the greatest disasters. I can go in and pull records out if you will leave comments and examples of what you think are the disasters, and then we can support it and have a real community discussion about what's really wrong with this city and what can be done about a mayor that's just way out of his league and is really destroying what was a perfectly good, a fantastic city that many of us remember. Please share your comments and like the page.